We're going to keep the strong character that we had today, but how to make it more fitting for the 90s, how to take it into the 90s.
In 1980, Ford launched an all-new Escort. Over the next 10 years, more than 8 million customers became members of a unique club. They were owners of the best-selling car in the world. Long before the Ford Escort reached its 10th birthday, a team of dedicated men and women had begun to work on drawings for a range of cars they codenamed CE14. This was to be the Ford Escort and Orion for the 1990s. The Ford designers worked to create distinctive new shapes that were also intrinsically Escort and Orion. In keeping with the environmentally conscious 90s, they would have to be aerodynamically efficient, have a full range of low-emission engines, and return impressive fuel economy figures. Heading the European design team in this initial stage was Andy Jacobson.
Then we took the windscreen, and as we pulled it further forward, we also pulled it down and sloped the front end back for some respectable aero figures on the car and for better aero management, and incorporated a little small piece of a spoiler into the rear, and of course added the bumper to the rear, and we have basically the little Escort. I should say little, actually, with a grain of salt. This car has so much room on the inside, it's going to rival many of the competitors' cars in the next class up.
By increasing the wheelbase and track dimensions of the new cars without adding greatly to the overall length, the Ford design team was also able to provide more interior room for the driver, passengers, and their luggage.
The one we prefer tends to be this colour over here, which is a little bit darker, more sophisticated. Oh, yeah. It's got a really spooky sort of the way it picks up the light.
With the bumper.
Yeah, the lead grey bumper works very well with it.
Well, the silver, as you can see, makes use of a new high-quality...
New paint technology, giving increased reflective qualities to metallic colours, will add further to the new distinctive Escort and Orion shapes. How they tone with bodyside mouldings and interior trim, and even how they would look at different times of the day, were critical factors to be addressed during the design process. Some of those 8 million customers had their part to play in the shaping of the new Escort and Orion. What did they like about their car? And what would they expect from its successor? To find out, customer clinics were conducted throughout Europe. Fiberglass models were produced, which not only represented the designer's vision of the cars, but also reflected the practical needs of the customers.
If we start right at the front headlamp, and with the cut line we have from the grille panel to the hood opening line, it's picked up in this sculpture panel that happens in the car, and it works itself all the way down through the doors, through the rear quarter, to the tail lamp. And that same theme is carried through the tail lamp and into the back panel, so it does tie the car together, physically tie it together in a nice horizontal theme. If you were able to get up in the second story and look down on this car, you would find a very nice shape that swells over the front wheel opening, gets narrower towards the B-pillar, or where the front door ends, and then gradually swells out from the B-pillar rearward, terminating in the final quarter panel, so that it gives a nice flowing sculpted look. Now that's done for two reasons. One, it's aesthetically pleasing and strong looking shape when you do so. Also importantly, though, is we have tires and wheels that move up and down a lot inside the vehicle. And we do this not only because it has to, but it helps give ride qualities to the car. The more movement you can give to the tires and wheels, the better ride quality you have the opportunity to provide. There's two ways to give that kind of clearance. One is with the classical wheel arch, and another one is, instead of the classical, you can come back down here and pull the physical surface out so that you'll notice there's no traditional wheel up here. We pulled the whole surface instead. We thought this way was a new way for us to give the Escort Orion lineup a strong, characterful look, but without completely emulating what we've done in the past. What we're looking at here is the sport model that it'll have up to 150 horsepower, and it's really an exciting kind of vehicle. It's the one that it allows you to put the power to the ground, but it also allows you to make a visual statement as well. These sculptured lines on the side that we talked about before now have more meaning with the sculpted rocker panel that fits in with it. You pick up the body color mirrors that we have on here, and you'll notice, by the way, as we're here, it's got a nicely detailed aerodynamic fastening or mount to it where it attaches to the A-pillar section. The hood surface has changed. We've picked up a couple of, well, we always called them power bulges. Why not? We still call them power bulges. They're there for a purpose, though, too. We've got a dual overhead cam 4-cylinder engine in here that requires a little extra space on this side, so it was physically required to package the engine. It's a powerful engine. It's nothing wrong, I think, in showing the vehicle in a powerful kind of aggressive stance to it. We've endeavored to build into this wagon not only a very stylish and beautiful shape, but we've also endeavored at the same time to give it a lot of functional space on the inside. So you'll see that it has a combination of tight surfaces with some rounding to the actual D-pillar itself, flowing down into its own unique tail lamp that fits very nice with the surfaces, both from a plan view point of view and from an overall height and packaging of the functions. It has a large backlight with the heated glass, of course, obviously built in. And we take this backlight very wide on the rear view so that we emphasize not only the visibility, obviously, which you have to have, but the width carrying capability. If you consider that if you made this pillar slant in the other direction, and forget about the fact that it would be hard to drop the glass in the door when you do that, then you had this pillar slanting in this direction, and again this one in even a further splayed direction, it would suddenly be like maybe like a tent that was erected and just about ready to fall down. It wouldn't have that stable look. The architecture to me says that these have to be placed just right so that it always looks strong, it looks self-supportive, it looks safe, it looks inviting. It makes you, as a consumer, want to come in. Whether you know these kind of terms that I'm talking about, it doesn't really matter. As long as it looks right to you and it says, hey, that's the kind of car I want to be in.
Ford's senior management was impressed, and the final go-ahead was given for the design concept. Ultimately, this would result in a fully integrated range of hatchbacks, saloons, estates, convertible, and van models being introduced throughout Europe in the autumn of 1990. Ford's European design chief, David Turner.
I think the car is almost the object that most people in modern civilization are exposed to more often and more times in a given day than they are to any other object save the human face. Therefore, it's got to be a very important part of our culture. The customer has gotten quite sophisticated. Ergonomics, for instance, in the interior literally have to be perfect. There is just no excuse. It's the price of admission these days. You're going to find ergonomics are going to become the features of the car, the parts of the car you remember. In the case of the Escort, what we were trying to do was to create a face or an identity that was part of the family, part of the Ford family, and that it was part of the Escort family. As we talked about earlier, the Escort is an extremely successful product. It has a lot of recognition, and it has a lot of loyal customers. And so the face or the identity we were looking for is one that said, yes, that's the new Escort. product, we've been able to substantially improve the actual interior space, and at the same time the perception of interior space, while at the same time not enlarging the exterior size into the next class of car.
To the millions of drivers who will come to know the new Escort and Orion as an everyday companion, the surfaces and details of the interior will become as familiar as home.
This is the area behind the vent.
Right, with your ducting.
With the ducting. And then this surface here will pull down as closely as possible to that rear end.
Oh, that's good. That's
That's
really
good.
a bonus storage space, as it were. Then.
In December 1988, a completely new dashboard design begins its transition from expanded drawing to clay model. Once again, the customer clinics have played an important role in fine-tuning specific preferences of the men and women who would eventually drive the car.
Yeah, we've got to leave this reels of that.
The interior of the new Escort and Orion was made to measure.
We're on the legal minimum there anyway.
If you make it just sharp edge like that.
The refinement of details at this stage could be as important as the readability of the instruments to making sure the glove compartment lid will accommodate anything from a checkbook to a soft drinks can.
Do such a
Maybe we should do only, let's model one for the Coke and the other one for the
There was a time when paintbrush and watercolors were the main tools of the fabric designer. At Ford, the designer's skill is still just as important. But now the power of computers adds infinite variety at the touch of a button, helping designers to realize their ideas immediately.
Now I'm going to go into what we call yarn set and change the colour of the design by using a process called volume colour change. As you can see, it's completely changed the whole effect of the design, really by changing one colour.
Comfort, spaciousness, and driving pleasure were the main priorities established for the interior of the new Escort and Orion. Designers and engineers combined their skills to produce an interior package that was both attractive and functional.
Blue stand.
Spend a lot of time trying to do away with joints, don't we? So if you break it up, you do the
You only notice it after you've gotten in and out of the car for a while, but entry and egress to the car has been improved. We spent a great deal of time studying that combination of dimensions to try to find the optimum set that gave you the right entry egress. When you put your leg into the car, there is not an obstruction there. There is a space for it to go into. It goes in easily. When you sit, when you move your body into the car, it goes in easily. It's not obstructed by door opening. So in addition to those simple things of increasing the dimensions, there are also a lot of dynamic things we did, dynamic studies we did, in order to optimize things like entry and egress. It is the most efficient interior package that I have been involved in my career at Ford. And we have made a vehicle that is efficient in the sense that it really is large, but it also appears and feels comfortable and large. And yet it's not large on the outside of the car. We have not enlarged substantially the exterior of the vehicle. So I think that sense of spaciousness is very much a part of this, of making this car a car for the 90s.
March 1989. Prototypes of the new Escort and Orion, codenamed CE-14, are painstakingly assembled at a Ford pilot build facility. Each stage in the process anticipates the real manufacture of the car. Teams of workers from Halewood, Saarlouis, and Valencia will visit the pilot plant over the next year to be familiarized with new manufacturing techniques. For the new Escort and Orion program, Ford brought designers, manufacturing engineers, and product development engineers together before the first prototype was made.
I mean, it's the first of prototype parts, and you've almost got to fit there with no more than a 0.3 mil.
Quality of manufacture was to be designed into the cars. This pan-European task force would meet regularly and discuss every detail of the project to ensure that quality was never compromised. For the Escort and Orion, particular attention has been paid to the elimination of materials or manufacturing processes which could contribute to environmental pollution or be hazardous in any way to health. For example, water-based paint systems are being introduced according to a progressively phased plan. Even on this prototype, that will be scrapped long before launch, the quality of build is inspected as if the car were going to the most exacting of customers. New flush-fitting windshields and backlights will contribute to reduced drag and wind noise. But new features mean new manufacturing techniques, each to be tested and perfected before the first production cars come off the lines. The lifespan of this prototype Escort estate will be short but eventful. The car will be driven for hours on end over every possible type of road surface and subjected to the most rigorous quality testing. The totally revised front and rear suspensions will have been tested for many thousands of miles before the first customers benefit from the improved ride comfort and handling. A new generation of electronic anti-lock brakes, specially designed for front-wheel drive cars, will be available on the Escort and Orion. Here at the Lommel Proving Ground, a test driver demonstrates the stability of the car whilst braking hard on a treacherously wet, split mew surface. At the Ford Research and Development Centre in Britain, a new £1 million test rig subjects new cars to further exacting tests. This is the first installation of its type in the world to evaluate noise, vibration, and ride comfort under extreme climatic conditions. The chamber can simulate the Arctic conditions of Finland or an environment hotter than the hottest place on the Earth's surface, with humidity approaching 100%. It is part of Ford's concern for the world that the new cars will be available with catalytic converters from launch. This is well ahead of 1993, when all new petrol-engined cars will have to meet the more stringent emission standards set by the European Commission. Not only is the exterior design of the Escort and Orion more aerodynamically efficient, but crash protection levels are well in excess of European safety standards. To help achieve this, Ford body engineers had access to one of the world's most powerful computers, capable of handling over 80 million calculations per second. Even so, it still took 24 hours to solve all the simultaneous stress equations involved. Almost 2 years ahead of launch, engineers are already refining what will be one of the high-performance models offered in the new Escort range, the 2-litre XR3i 2000. In just 5 years, Ford have developed a new generation of models that will be the best and most exciting offerings in their class.
Third gear, light throttle, drivability feels good, nice and clean and crisp through the range. The ride is firm but well damped, not much roll. We nearly got a rabbit then. Change up into fifth.
June 1990. Production of the new Escort and Orion begins. Ford's multi-million-pound investment in robotics, computer technology and statistical process control at the 3 European assembly plants, Halewood, Saarlouis and Valencia, will ensure the highest quality of assembly and finish. This mammoth tri-axis press, newly installed at Halewood, is capable of pressing no less than 12 different main body parts for the Escort and Orion. Here, flat sheets of high-grade steel start to become a car. Body side panels are loaded onto high-precision automated welding carousels. Each robot completes its prescribed operation before the panel is moved to the next welding station. Finally, the new Escort's lines become clearly distinguishable as the body shell emerges from the second of 2 robotic welding framing bucks. Before cars destined for the showroom begin production, pre-production Escorts and Orions are already on the assembly lines, giving the teams at Halewood, Saarlouis and Valencia further opportunities to learn the intricacies of the new car's construction. The Escort and Orion benefit from doors-off assembly lines. This technique allows line workers improved access and space to complete assembly operations inside the car. Removing the doors after the car has been painted and trimming them on a special carousel line enables the work to be carried out more accurately and efficiently. It also helps achieve the rigorous quality standards being set for the Escort and Orion. As the car begins to take shape, robotic hands and arms add uncanny precision in the placing of the direct glazed windscreen, rear window and rear quarter lights. After the new precision molded seats have been fitted, the fully assembled doors rejoin the car. Now that the interior of the car is fully trimmed, the engine, transmission and front suspension are raised into the car. Universal Product Assurance System, or UPAS. Every pre-production Escort and Orion must pass through this exacting quality inspection. Here, the wettest day the customer is ever likely to encounter is simulated. Whilst inside the car, skilled eyes look for any sign of water leakage. Even when full production has commenced, a random selection of cars will be routed through UPAS each day to ensure continuity of the highest quality levels. Every centimetre of the car is checked and measured.
Yep, Fassungsschieberer, okay, good.
Rechte Türbeule. Innere Tür. Rechte hier.
Areas of concern are marked with a chinograph pencil or coloured stickers.
Engineering.
Later, engineers and managers from all production areas will meet to discuss the inspector's findings and take the appropriate actions. This will ensure that the first full mainstream production Escorts and Orions meet the critical quality standards laid down not only by Ford, but more importantly, by the customer.
Okay. Bremsleitung dicht, ja, das ist klar.